No signature, no date. And that's when the thought hit me. If this file was never meant to be entered, why was it on my desk? And more importantly, what was a person without a name doing in an official record? I closed the folder, but my hand didn't leave it. Because for the first time in all my years working archives, I felt this. This file hadn't been hidden to stay lost. It had been hidden to be found. Episode 2, The Address. After closing the folder, it sat on my desk for a long time. Normally, the procedure is simple. You return the file to its shelf. You don't think about it. But this time, I couldn't. The folder was closed, but it felt open inside me. I turned back to the computer, pulled the address declaration, standard form, neighborhood, street, building number, apartment number, all filled in. The address felt familiar. I couldn't place why, but it made my stomach tighten, like I'd seen it before. I opened Google Maps, typed it in. The map loaded, and then I realized why it felt familiar. The address was 2 blocks from the building I worked in. For a moment, everything went quiet. I laughed at myself. Coincidence, I thought. If you work in a county office, addresses nearby are common. But nothing about this file was common. During lunch break, I slipped the folder into my desk drawer. That was against the rules. Files don't leave the archive. But I didn't want to put this one back. It felt like if I did, I'd never see it again. I walked to the street listed on the form. The sky was overcast. No rain. People were around. Life was moving normally. But as I walked, everything felt slower. When I entered the street, the first thing I noticed was the silence. Not natural silence. Side streets usually have a hum. Distant traffic. Voices. This street had none. I found the building. The front door was old but well kept. I checked the buzzer panel. Apartment numbers. Names. Except one. One apartment had no name. Not scratched out. Not erased. Never written. My heart started racing. I didn't ring the bell. I need to be clear about that. I knew I shouldn't. The building door wasn't locked. I went inside. The stairwell was dim. One of the lights flickered. I checked the apartment number. It matched the file. I stood in front of the door. There was no doorbell. The door didn't look abandoned, but it didn't look lived in either. As I stood there, I heard something from inside. Not a human voice, not exactly house noise. More like movement, like someone being there. I stepped back. That's when another door opened behind me. An elderly woman stepped out. She stopped when she saw me. "Are you looking for someone?" she asked. Her voice was calm. Her eyes were too alert. I pointed at the door. "Who lives here?" She looked at the door, then back at me. "No one," she said, then added, "Not anymore." "Before that?" I asked. She shook her head slightly. "You shouldn't ask that." Then she lowered her voice. "He didn't have a name." Cold ran through me. "What do you mean?" I asked. She didn't answer. Just said, "What kept him here wasn't the address." Then she closed her door. Outside, the street was still silent. And I knew it wasn't the street. I checked the address form again. That's when I saw a faint note at the bottom. So light I'd missed it before. It read, "This address is registered, not for presence, but for absence." Episode 3. The Contradiction. The next day, the file was still in my drawer. That should have comforted me. It didn't, because part of me had expected it to be gone. I sat down, turned on my computer, tried to work. My eyes kept drifting to the drawer. Finally, I opened the file again. This time, I read every line. That's when I noticed the first major contradiction. The birth record listed our county as the place of birth, but the first residency record listed a city hundreds of miles away. That was strange enough. But the date. The first residency date came before the date of birth. I stared at the screen, checked again. It was clear. This person had lived somewhere before they were born. Systems don't allow that. Dates like that don't pass validation. But this one did. When I tried to view the record history, the details button was disabled. A tooltip appeared. History unavailable. Reason: inconsistency. Even the system rejected it. Around lunchtime, I saw Mr. Mason.
He'd been there 25 years, knew everything. I didn't show him the file. I asked indirectly, "Can someone exist without a record?" He looked at me for a long time. "No," he said, then added quietly, "Sometimes they're treated like they do." "For what?" I asked. He leaned closer. "Balance." That word stayed with me. Balance of what? He didn't answer. Just said, "Sometimes the system can't carry everyone." That night, I noticed something else. The date stamped on the back of the ID photo. The photo had been taken after the file was created, meaning the record existed before the person did. I read the handwritten note again. Under it, in tiny letters, "The system doesn't hold what it can't name." Episode 4. The Witness. I didn't sleep. The next morning, I found Mr. Mason. Asked if anyone had really seen him. "There was one," he said. "An old code enforcement officer. Retired. Moved away." I went to his address. The house was old. The man let me in when I said I was from records. He knew why I was there. He was always there, the man said. But no one ever asked who he was. "Why not?" "Because if you ask," he said, "you take his place." That night, the file changed. A new note appeared. Witnesses fall silent, one by one. The next morning, my computer was already on. The SSN was typed in. A message blinked. "This record is scheduled for removal." I tried to cancel. Access denied. No one remembered Mr. Mason. The file was gone, but I still had the key. At home, there was a mark on my wall, a door-shaped outline. The key fit. Not into a door, into a place. I understood then, this wasn't a person. It was excess. Something the system couldn't carry. And now, it was my turn. If you ever see a file that acts like it never existed, don't force it, because it isn't being erased.